I absolutely adore this game, but it took me 3 separate sessions to get through the prologue. I kept turning it off. That ADHD superpower / curse of guessing the narrative of stories was telling me that this was going to be a colossal bummer, and I just did not have the space for any more bummage in my heart at the time. Then I got past the prologue, which, as I suspected, was in fact a massive bummer. But then this game did something hardly anything does these days. It surprised me. This prologue gave me no indication that this game would be light and playful. It had me expecting The Last of Us, and it was giving Kingdom Hearts almost. I was blown away by how easily they were treading this line between bright and bleak. It was traumatic, but filled with wonder that made me reminiscent of my childhood. Even Final Fantasy X, another game Expedition really reminds me of, has that issue where the goofiness would kind of outcompete the weight of the intense situations in the game. But that didn't happen a single time in Expedition. I laughed and cried a few times each, and I'm not sure that there's another game that's done that for me. The gameplay is addictive, the build crafting is engaging but simple enough that I don't have to do math, and just incredible characters and story. A story that keeps you guessing until the start of the final act when they completely upend all of the stakes for like the 3rd time in the game. That story was having an effect though. An effect that was making it a little bit harder to keep playing the game. I kept feeling inspired. Also, big fat spoilers inbound. Spoilers in your eyes, spoilers in your butt. They're going to be all up in the mouth. The prologue did have one thing, though, that despite all the times I decided to quit in the middle of it, kept making me come back to finish it. Mystery. A lot of JRPGs have the, explaining curse. Wow, his sword is glowing red, which means it's sealed with the power of the 7 dragons. Oh! Expedition, however, tells you very little on your walk up to the Gamage ceremony. Everyone acts as if these people are going on a trip, although there's a sense of finality to it that indicates maybe there's a bit more at play. I was thinking like some sort of evil version of the Immortal Lands from Lord of the Rings. Turns out my ADHD plot prediction engine was way off on that one. Then it happens, and all the major pieces slot together. Why Gustav is determined to stop this, why there's a big 34 looming in the distance, why my father left, possibly. I think there are some real connections. The idea of knowing the day of your death is something I've thought about quite a lot. Plenty of movies and games have made reference to this, but I've always thought of it as terrifying, like some big cloud that would loom over you and everything you did. And I'm sure it could be that. But I'm starting to realize that it could be freeing. There's a tyranny in constantly believing you have a future, having to work backwards from the assumption that you'll be alive 10 years from now. It makes your day-to-day feel like delayed gratification. It makes your contribution feel small in comparison to what you're shooting for. And there's nothing wrong with planning inherently. But even a year is a long time. And things can change. That was one of the times that I cried, if you're curious. I want to do a full video on Gustav, so I'm going to save some points for that. But Gustav, just like all the people on this hellish expedition where death surrounds them moment to moment, and your life is literally treated as a stepping stone in the hopes that someone might succeed. They all understand something that we've become so far removed from in our westernized world where death is treated like this distant prospect that you'd prefer to ignore. How to make the most of your time. These people have all lost so much. You know, where I live, I know many people who have never really had a majorly impactful death in their life outside of their grandparents. I think a lot about how uncommon that is in other parts of the world. The original 4 of the game are all 33 outside of Mael, and all of their parents are dead, along with most everyone they know within the first hour of the game. Mael's parents are also dead, by the way. I only personally have one friend who has even a single dead parent. When I think about how uncommon that is across the world, it becomes much more obvious why the developed, quote unquote, world has become so flippant about life. It becomes so much easier to uphold the illusion when it's such a pretty one. It's hard to live in blissful ignorance of death, surrounded by bodies. That being said, while we're intentionally unaware of death's inevitability via time, we're less ignorant of death's possibility. And this is a pretty rough combo where we're compulsively planning for shit that's so far away yet afraid to go in public and be gunned down with an AR-15, or go to school and get gunned down with an AR-15, or go to the bathroom and Elvis. We're afraid and delusional, playing it safe so we can save up for that bigger house or retirement or medical bills when you're shot with an AR-15. We don't stand up for ourselves when it counts because it could put our desired future at risk. It could damage the fantasy. We'll miss out on what inspires us for the safety of future us. Live like it's your last day is such a common cliche, and it kind of overstates the mentality to like that hyperbolic, exaggerated degree that we love. Like if I found out I was gonna die tomorrow, I'd just be like, well, I guess I'm gonna see what 4 pounds of cheeseburgers does to my body. Like it doesn't leave a lot of room to actually do anything with that time. But if I found out I had a year, I'd have some plans. Even if it wouldn't change everything, even if it's just a small step towards something much bigger than I'd ever be, I would happily take that step. It's not like I'm doing a whole lot else that year. I'd smell the breeze. I'd get up early. I'd really savor those cheeseburgers. The value of the small really starts to resonate when it's all that's left, when that idea of the grand design that you're trying to enact over the years is no longer in the realm of possibility. Now it's about what can be done. And the truth is, our circumstances aren't all that different. We are on a timer. There's an inevitability coming. We just don't know when. And the prospect of that is scary enough that we kind of just pretend it isn't coming at all. If you knew how long you had left, how differently would you live? Maybe live like it's your last year is a better balance. Still allows for some planning and some extra cheeseburgers, but still enough reason to stay up talking a little later, stay at your family's place another day, or hold that hug a little longer, or fight a little harder for a future that you hope continues beyond you. Obviously, you aren't going to be present 100% of the time. It's unreasonable to think that you'll just be constantly enthralled with the state of being, even with a timer present to help you savor it. There would still be moments where that date felt oppressive, like a bad joke, but knowing there's so little time left makes it all the easier to do what you can while you're here. For those who come after.